And the medics had a conversation with my dad and said, look, Greg has shown no sign of recovery. Like, in our professional opinion, if he does wake up, he's just going to be brain dead.
Hi guys, it's Steph, and we're now on episode 2 of Mind Your Mindset, and today I'm joined by Gregory Weston. So, Gregory, do you want to just introduce yourself a bit and tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi Steph, thank you for having me on the show today.
No problem.
My name's Greg Weston, as Steph said. In 2011, I incurred a very serious brain injury. I was actually on a weekend away with my friends, on a golfing weekend away. And on the evening, I went out and had a few drinks and fell over and hit my head on a curb, which you'd think, well, it turned out to be catastrophic. It's actually very strange. I actually walked onto the ambulance. I haven't told you that.
Wow.
Walked onto the ambulance and put myself in the hospital bed. And then that was at Poole Hospital, which is like just a very local hospital.
Yeah.
And then I fell into a coma. So having walked onto the ambulance, I fell into a coma. I was rushed to Southampton Hospital, which is one of the leading neurological hospitals in the country, in England, unfortunately. And they put me on a life support machine. I was on the life support machine for 3 weeks, and there's literally no sign of recovery whatsoever, like nothing at all, not even battle an eyelid or anything. And I then, the medics had a conversation with my dad and said, look, Greg has shown no sign of recovery. Like, in our professional opinion, if he does wake up, he's just going to be brain dead. He's just going to be a vegetable. Would Greg want to live like that? And my dad said no. And so he said, in your opinion, then, should we turn off the machine? And my dad said yes. As they walked, it's quite scary. As they walked in off the machine, I opened my eyes. It was like, God, wow. It's not his time. But then it was a long road from there. So this will be 10 years ago in June of this year. I then, when I came out of the coma, I was paralysed down one side. And I was initially, I couldn't even get out of bed. I had to be hoisted in and out of bed and bed bathed and fed via a tube into my stomach.
Wow.
Then when I was in inverted commas, well enough to get out of bed, I was in a wheelchair. I spent a year in a wheelchair, and after that amount of time, they have a duty of care to tell you whether you're ever going to walk again. And they said, look, we've had a conversation with the doctors, physiotherapists and the occupational therapists, and it's our duty of care to tell you, in our professional opinion, you're never going to walk again. And it was just like, because my son was 3 at the time.
Wow.
So, like, having a little boy who's wanted to run around and play football and all that kind of thing, to think that I'd be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, it was really, really tough. People have asked me as well, Steph, whether I've considered taking my own life because of the depression and stuff like that. And I've always said I haven't, because I was low as low can be, like literally couldn't have been more upset than I was. But I couldn't have done it to my son. I couldn't have left him without a dad. And anyways, a few months after that, one of a very close family friend of mine came over and came to visit me. He sat on the end of my bed and felt my feet, and he said, "Greg, your left foot, my side, my affected side is my left side." So he touched my left foot and said, "Greg, our leg is so cold." And he said, "Can I give it a massage?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great, even though I can't feel it, but that'd be great." And as he massaged my leg, I kicked out my leg, and his name was Keith. Keith said, "Greg, do you realise what you've done there?" And I said, "My leg's moved." And he did it again. It moved again, and we rushed to get the physiotherapists and the nurses and stuff. And they said, "Greg, do you know what? This means you could start to walk again." And it was like, best news ever. But then, Steph, when you have a brain injury, and we'll touch on this, I'm sure, is that you have to relearn everything.
Yeah.
And when I mean everything, I mean like, well, in my case, how to walk, and not just how to walk, but how to walk on different surfaces, how to walk on grass, how to walk, just cross roads, get up and down curbs, stairs, all those kinds of things. But you also have to learn, I had to relearn how to wash and dress myself.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to cook cafely. So, you know, like if I came home and cooked chicken, say, make sure I cooked it thoroughly,
Yeah.
poison myself. You have to relearn how to drive because you lose your driving license when you have a brain injury.
Yeah.
I had to relearn how to run my own money. So when my finances got taken away from me under what's called a court of protection order,
Yeah.
I had to relearn how to have a judge come over to my house and prove that I could run my money okay. I mean, it's catastrophic. So
Yeah.
35 when my accident happened. I've just turned 44 now. I'm probably
Wow.
on a bit. I'm sorry.
No, honestly, because that, you know, it's just hearing your story. I mean, like I said to you before we came on, you know, I have seen parts of your story, and but just to hear it from yourself, and it just obviously it just resonates with me because, you know, of Robert and his accident. But
Yeah.
again, we were very blessed in the sense that he didn't have what you had. You know, although they said that he was quite lucid when he was in the ambulance and things, and when he got into the ambulance, but as the ambulance was leaving, the police turned and said to the workers on the site, you know, we don't think he's going to make it. So, you know, just don't be, you know, be prepared for bad news. But, you know, hearing that you actually walked into the ambulance, put yourself in the hospital bed, and then ended up in the coma, like,
it's incredible. And I
mm-hmm.
mean, you know, all my friends, I'm very lucky to have a good group of friends around me, and they all came down from, because I live in Warwickshire, so sort of Birmingham way, which is quite a long way from Southampton, but they always used to come down and sit by my bed and obviously have, you know, just for me just to be doing nothing.
Yeah, and how long? Obviously, I know that you were in the was it 3 weeks you were in the coma for?
A life support machine for 3 weeks, yes.
3 weeks, yeah, and you know, I just even hearing that your dad had to, you know, be given that decision to make that decision, and then, you know, you just open your eyes like that is. I mean, I always say that Robert's accident was a miracle, but that is a miracle. It really, really is.
Yeah.
It's just honestly, and even just to be speaking to you just now, it's, you know, I said that before I came on, it's amazing, like, to know. I mean, I've seen the pictures as well of you know, where you were then and where you are now. It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have made massive progress. In 2018 there was a very poorly little girl who had a brain tumor. She was only 4, and in order to get treated, they had to self-fund it and go over to Mexico to get it. And so I really wanted to help her. So in 2018, I actually walked up Mount Snowdon, which, being told again, was some feat, really. I mean, it took me 7.5 hours, and but I had 2 friends which they'd actually done the Snowdon Marathon a couple of months before, and said it was harder walking up with me in those conditions. Like, it was literally hailing on its side, and well, you know, being and how bad weather.
Yeah.
There was the wind, the cold. It was horrific. But I did that. So,
Wow.
and I don't know if you would like me to talk about it now, but how I use my experiences to help other people.
Yeah, so I was just about to say that as well. Obviously, I know that you've done so much from, you know, obviously when you had the accident, and you were just saying to me before about how, you know, you've just got this new lease of life, and especially when you've had to retrain yourself as well to do everything, just like you said, just to do the basic things like eat and cook and walk, and yeah.
Yeah, so one thing that I find really, really rewarding, and I'm doing at the moment, is I've signed up to volunteer actually at the rehab hospital where I was a patient.
Wow.
And so out of COVID, obviously, because it's all now, but out of COVID, I set up a movement group there. And what it is, Steph, it's like an exercise group where the patients are all in wheelchairs, and I'm able to use my experiences of when I was in a wheelchair. I've designed an exercise program. So I mean, we do some dance, like in our in chairs.
Yeah.
They did like dances, you know, just basic dances like YMCA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Got the hand movements, and I've designed an exercise program that goes around the body. So start with the head, the shoulders, stomach, or going through the body, doing some exercises. And then at the end, we play some board games. We've got like Skittles and stuff like that. So yes, that I find that really well. At the moment, I'm actually helping work on the vaccination hub for
Oh wow, yeah.
But it's so rewarding, and I was very proud to say I got awarded a Special Achievement Award for my services to volunteering. So that was a very proud.
Oh wow.
Presented by a local mayor, so that was good to be appreciated. But I find it really rewarding. It's
Yes.
I said to you at the start that I feel like my accidents happen for a reason, so that I can use my experiences to help other people. And volunteering has been just wonderful. And then
I think that's just a testament to you as well, because you've obviously come from, you know, have it been in that situation, and you know, like you said, just feeling so depressed, and you know, having to go just basically start from scratch again and learn everything again. You can go to such a dark place, and it's you know, coming out of that dark place and then wanting to help others, you know, not just saying, oh, I'm going to constantly, you know, focus on myself and focus on what I'm going to do in life. You're using your experiences to help others, and you do deserve to be rewarded for that, because it's amazing. And you're, you know, honestly, like I can't big you up enough, because even following you through social media, like all the time, it's just, I'm in awe every time, like you post something about your journey, and you're just so positive all the time as well. And it's, you know, obviously just seeing that as well, it's honestly, you're amazing. You are amazing.
oh yeah. I think you are too, with what you've been through. But
Thank you. I know, yeah, it's but yeah, just like you said, I'm just the same as you, so I want to use the experiences that I've gone through and that Robert's gone through to help others as well. And it's so refreshing as well when I can get to speak to someone else, you know, who's had a brain injury. Obviously, Robert went to Headway and things after his accident, and I've done a lot to support Headway and things, because they helped us and they really helped Robert. So, you know, it's just like you said, you don't realise how much you need certain services or certain things that are available or people until you're in that kind of situation, and you think, wow, what would we do without this support or these services? And now you can be one of those people. It's so rewarding.
I don't know if I mentioned that one of the big I've had. I mentioned I had a son to you.
Yes.
And I always say, Steph, that I gave him life and he gave me a reason to live. He's been a massive inspiration for me. Obviously, we had some very challenging times I didn't obviously see him for a while because I wasn't well enough.
Yeah.
But then I was kind of worried that he'd forget about me and stuff like that. And then when I first had to see him, I had to actually see him at a contact centre, which was just horrific.
Oh no!
Because of the fact that I was in a wheelchair, so
yeah, of course,
safe to see him for my condition. But that was just horrific for me and for him. I mean, he got very stressed out about it. Didn't like going to it at all. And then as I've got better, our relationships improved. He started to mine for the start, just for the day, and then he stayed overnight, and that was just like heaven for me. Sport in Watton, and it was just wonderful to have him here.
And did he see you? Obviously, how, you know, kind of soon after the accident was it that he saw you? And
about 6 months, and it must have been very hard for him because I wasn't well. I was mentally well, and one of the, I haven't told you this, but one of the side effects of having a brain injury, it was made me inappropriate, because you lose your inhibitions. Do you know what I mean?
yes.
Like some of the things I was saying to nurses and friends were very inappropriate.
Yeah.
And then for George as well, I suppose, as being as I think all kids think their parents are a bit weird anyway.
Yeah, definitely mine do anyway.
But he just he thought I was weird and embarrassing and annoying,
no.
all that kind of stuff. But I tell you what, now he's just turned 13, and I'm so proud of him. He's literally just turned absolutely lovely young man. He's just I'm just so proud of him. He's used the time in lockdown really well. He's been and built like mountain biking tracks. He's really, really good at football, like really talented football, like as in he could make it. Well, I think he will make it as a professional football. He's amazing.
Wow. But that's great that you have that relationship, obviously. That's why I was asking, because I knew how hard it was when our kids first saw Robert and they didn't understand, and they were still quite young at the time, and my oldest especially, he just couldn't really handle it very well, and especially when Robert got home, and then there was like the whole change in, you know, like you said, like Robert, and still to this day has absolutely no filter. So he'll say things that, you know, really he should be in his head be saying, but it will just come out. And
well, that's I mean,
yeah, and it's like, and you know what it's like, obviously yourself, and but I've stopped it now. I used to P1 people. I used to say, you know, he's got a brain injury, and he will still ask people to repeat things because, you know, he'll hear it or he'll lose his train of thought when he's in the middle of a sentence and say,
you filter when you have a brain injury. That's the thing.
Yeah. So but like I said, I mean, he's just like yourself. He's doing so well, and considering, you know, the severity of the accident, that, you know, it's amazing, and for yourself to have been, you know, in a coma and just about, you know, and on life support, and just to have it just about to have it turned off, and now, you know, you're helping others in that situation, and walking as well, obviously being paralysed down one side. Like, how long was it after that you started to get your mobility back? Was it pretty quick?
I was in a wheelchair for a year, and then, I mean, even today, Steph, it's still, I mean, people always tell me that I'm an inspiration, how well I've done, but I still get down. I've got a wonderful, one thing that has happened to me finally is I finally found love. After finding love was a really difficult thing, you know, because of the complexities of my accident.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's different for you because but you understand is what I'm saying. But
yeah, of course.
But I've actually managed to find an absolutely wonderful girlfriend. She's actually a doctor, ironically.
Oh, wow.
She's able. She. In her words, she says she gets it. Do you know what I mean? She understands.
She understands.
And she's brilliant. She'll say, "Greg, you're being a bit weird now," and whatever. You know what I mean? But I mean, in a loving way.
Yeah.
Like you're being annoying, or you're being OCD and all that kind of stuff. But I need that. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I've actually improved in the time that I've met her. I've actually improved a lot, and she's very kindly helped me find a physiotherapist, because I still limp, and that still depresses me a bit. Like, you walk past little kids, like 5 or 6 year old kids, and they just turn their head and just stare at me. You know what I mean? Just look at me.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I'm relatively young to be walking with a limp, and so I still have my down days though.
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever read a book or seen a film called Penguin Bloom?
I haven't, no.
Oh, you should see it. It's amazing. It's about a lady that fell off a roof on holiday and paralysed herself. So she's in a wheelchair, and she was suicidal. She felt manic depression and all that sort of stuff. And then suddenly, her family had a little bird, and they called him Penguin. Called her Penguin, and the bird helped her. Like, so Sam Bloom was in her bed at home on her own, and the bird knew, like, she wouldn't get out of bed because she was so depressed. So the bird got up on one of the shelves and purposely knocked an ornament over to get Sam out of the bed.
Yeah, to get her out.
And she's now a world canoeing champion. So I'm going off the track here, but
No, but it's not, because I'm always looking for things to watch and things, because I just find it fascinating, and especially with things like that. But
that film's on Netflix. Penguin.
Yeah, I'll say Robert loves that. I'll need to say to him, but just like you were touching on there as well, I think that for us, like, the biggest thing after the accident was obviously, you know, the physical side of it, but the mental side of it as well. You know, that he was diagnosed pretty quickly with PTSD, you know, anxiety, depression. So
I'm still really struggling to come to terms with it mentally. Like,
yeah,
you know, and like, I'm not being horrible. She'd probably hear me anyway. But like Sarah will want to go on like a walking holiday, you know, like
yeah,
boulders and stuff like that. And I just can't do that. It's very, it really got me down to think that, because we went on a walk together the other day and suddenly it went from a path to like just a mud sort of track.
yeah,
And it was found it so difficult. It would have taken me like before my accident. We would take Sarah like 1 minute to walk along it, but it took me about 15 minutes just to, and it just made me realise that, you know, I couldn't go on a walking holiday with her, or, you know, things like, I know it sounds silly, I try and be glass half full. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. No, yeah, I know what you mean.
Like sometimes I think I can't, because I can't walk without my splint. You see, I can't walk outside without my splints.
Yeah,
I couldn't just run into the sea. Do you know what I mean? And feel the sand between. But then on the other side of the foot, I think, well, I was in a coma. You know, I could be dead. I was in a wheelchair until I could walk again. So, is it better to be walking with a limp, or be in a wheelchair, or a coma even? You know what I mean? It's just I have having these sort of. But what I'm going to try and do is find an activity that I can do. You know, it'd be like horse riding. You can do riding for the disabled and stuff.
Yeah. I think but just it is that trying to. I mean, Robert loved football, and they basically said to him, you know, like, there's absolutely no chance of you ever playing football again.
Really?
Yeah, and they said, you know, and especially, you know, with it being so, I mean, they say that football's supposed to be a non-contact sport, but we know that that's not the case.
Right.
And you know, but he was like, no, he just pushed himself the whole time, just like you were saying, he pushed himself, but it was trying to get something that he felt comfortable with, and he, you know, he loves fishing and things as well, but I don't think he's still not found that. I mean, this is 4 years on, and he's still not found that activity that he's, you know, that he finds, and he's very impulsive with things. Sorry?
Can he play football at the moment?
Yeah, so that he did go back and try to play football, but he was very fatigued quite quickly. And he was having to wear a head guard as well, and everybody didn't want to play like they normally played because they were worried about, you know, yeah.
Could he headed the ball?
Well, he did once, and then we ended up in the hospital. So that was it. After that point, I said absolutely no chance, because he was standing in my kitchen and he was wobbling, and I thought no, absolutely no way, because I mean, even now when he goes to work, he's back at work now.
Doing the same job, or?
Yeah, no, so he is still working in construction, but he's now trained to be an operator, so a machine operator now. Okay. So he's inside the cab, but even still, when he leaves the house, I still get, you know, just the fear that I'm going to get that same phone call that I did that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's the same, just trying to find, and he does get really frustrated when he can't do things. And it's just like you said, it's hard. It's hard to accept it.
I do still find it very hard to accept it. When I ran the London Marathon accident, I did a degree. I was a personal trainer before I went into the banking industry. I played county squash and badminton. I played cricket at the Test cricket grounds, and I was very, very active. So it is hard to. I used to love skiing.
Wow. I know. I totally understand, because again, it's, you know, the same as Robert, the things that he, you know, really loved to do, he's just not done them. And I mean, obviously playing football, that's been a big thing as well, but it is hard, and especially when you have to retrain yourself for everything. And now it's like, you just kind of get to that stage where, you know, you want to be able to get back to the normal. You've got back to the normality that you can, but it's getting back to that normal and accepting, you know, maybe I will never get back there, but just continuing to push on.
I'm kind of, maybe it's a case of I'll never accept what's happened to me. I don't know.
Robert said that, yeah.
Got to make the best of what I can. You know, I've got a wonderful son, a lovely girlfriend.
Yeah.
You know, I'm lucky I'm alive. I can talk. Because that's the other thing, being in hospital, I come across some people that are like quadriplegic. They can literally only communicate by blinking their eyes, or
wow.
You know, they're basically brain dead. So as my dear mother, when she was alive, always used to say, there's always someone worse off, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know that the funny you said that, because I remember Robert, when he woke up from his second surgery, he said, you know, he was totally out of it, and he said, oh well, there's always people worse off out there than me, and but he still can't, just like you touched on there, he still can't come to terms with the accident and accept it. And I don't think he said himself, I don't think I ever will. And I said, and that's just one of those things.
Maybe that's okay in itself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
maybe,
I think so too.
Maybe, as I said, I had this conversation with my girlfriend, and maybe I will never accept it, but there are lots of positives to look forward to, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And especially you've done so much as well, and the fact that you're using, you know, your experiences and you're still helping others as well, you know, it's honestly, it's amazing, because it's like exactly what I'm doing as well. You know, I want to help others, but especially when you've been there and you've been in that situation, and your others can obviously live and breathe off your experience because of where you were to where you are now, and you've just never accepted it. So you've never gave up and said, you know, I just accept it. You've just pushed and excelled. So
and so what I've done is people have always, I'm actually in the process of writing a book about it.
wow, yeah.
It's called Impossible, and that's because one of my favourite, you might notice on my Instagram, I love doing my positive quotes.
Yeah.
So one of my favourite quotes is from Audrey Hepburn. It says, "Nothing is impossible. The word itself says I'm possible."
Yeah.
Impossible is actually I'm possible. So that's why I've called it Impossible, because it also means I'm possible.
Wow, I'm definitely going to definitely let me know when it's out, because I'm going to get a copy.
I will do. I'll give you a free signed copy, Steph. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you. I know. I'm honestly,
No,
because
it's been really therapeutic, actually.
yeah.
So it explains. I've started off by explaining my life before my accident, because I had quite an interesting life before my accident, and then I talk about the year two. I won't bore you now, but I talk about the year 2004, because I lost my mum, my best friend, and my long family dog. You know what it's like with dogs; you get really attached.
Yes,
to them.
I know. Mine is in the background just now.
So that was 2004, and then I talk about the accident itself, about hospital life, moving home, future plans, my volunteering, and it's been very therapeutic to write. Actually, I'm really enjoying it, particularly in lots.
Did you find you struggled with that at all? Like, was that, you know, part of your brain injury? Did you ever struggle with that kind of?
I don't know what your husband's like. It's very strange, actually. My long-term memory is so good, Steph. Honestly, it's just like I can remember, like taking my school, for example. I can remember people in my year, everyone by name in my year. I could walk around the school mentally. I can remember teachers' names. I know everything that I did, every studied lessons. I can remember all the different forms and year groups, everything. But if I didn't know your name was Steph, and you'd only just told me at the start of this call, I'd have forgotten your name by now.
Yeah.
Someone tells me their name, and then within a minute I've forgotten it. Like my girlfriend and I were watching a film last night, and I said, what was the film called again? Like halfway through, and then like the main character, I was like, what was his name again? Like literally, that it's just that, you know, just
retaining. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
that's a major issue for me at the moment.
But I think that the fact that you've obviously managed to write a book, that is phenomenal, you know, honestly. But just like you said, it's been therapeutic for you as well.
Yeah. And it might even turn into a film one day.
Honestly, that would be the best outcome of that, definitely. I would go watch it.
I'll have to see if George Clooney's free to play me.
Definitely, I'm sure. But it is such an inspiring story, and you know, it's going to be great for others as well that have, you know, have gone through it.
I just wanted to be like, I wanted to be a book telling about my story, but I almost wanted to be like a self-help book as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like hope. It's that hope and inspiration, and it does give people. I mean, Robert doesn't, you know, he doesn't really know many people who have had a brain injury. Obviously met people through Headway, but for him it's just, you know, it's refreshing for him when he can speak to someone who's had a brain injury or someone who can relate to him. So there's so many other people that will be in the same situation, and you know, hearing your story as well will give other people hope that are in that situation.
And my mindset, going back to being glass half full rather than half empty, is that's why my accident happened to me. So I'm suffering what I'm going through now, so I can help other people. And if that's why it happened, then that's great. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that's positive.
Wow. No, honestly, like, and I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your story, because it's been amazing. And definitely, once that book comes out, I want a copy.
I'll make sure you get a copy.
Definitely. But yeah, honestly, thank you so much for just coming on and sharing your story. And yeah, just keep being you, because honestly it's amazing, and just seeing your positivity every day on social media, it helps me.
I'll keep doing that then.
No, thank you so much. But yeah, it's been amazing. But I shall let you go, and I won't take too much of your time up now. But yeah, just thanks again for sharing, and yeah, we'll hopefully have a catch up soon and see what you're up to next.
Look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.